All right, so into Mexico, and how we're going to do this is this unit is they call Middle America, which really isn't a thing. All of this that we're going to talk about is actually a part of North America. So North America is Canada, United States, Mexico, and then all of Central America. We're going to be doing Mexico and Central America, and the way they differentiate it is they just call that Middle America, which is, like I said, not technically a thing, because it's all part of North America. But when we get into this, so Mexico, we're starting with Mexico, and we're going to look first at physical geography, kind of the landforms that you're going to find in Mexico. And so there's 5 that we're going to look at. So we have Baja Peninsula, Plateau of Mexico, Valley of Mexico, Isthmus of Tehuantepec, and then the Yucatan Peninsula. Those are going to be the 5. So we'll kind of click through them and kind of talk as we go. So the first one is Baja California. And that's going to be this peninsula that separates sort of mainland Mexico from the Pacific Ocean. Okay, so you have Baja California, which is the land here, is the actual peninsula. Then this is a body of water. This is called the Gulf of California, and this is where the Colorado River we talked about with the United States. This is where the Colorado River is actually supposed to drain into, but like we had said, there are periods where it actually doesn't even get that far, right? Because they're taking so much water out of it that it doesn't drain there anymore. It's, like I said, this strip of land that separates mainland Mexico from the Pacific Ocean, and Gulf of California sits right there. Now this is this northern part here on Baja California. There's actually part of a pretty significant desert, and that desert's called the Sonoran Desert. So the Sonoran Desert is kind of this part of Baja California, and then kind of wraps around into mainland Mexico here. And a couple things with the Sonoran Desert. Of all of the deserts in North America, it is the hottest and it is the most biodiverse. So biodiverse would mean what, I wonder? Most biodiverse desert in North America. What does bio mean? I'm talking about bio.
The study of?
Yeah, so like you're thinking biology, so logy would be the study of.
Oh, yeah.
So the bio would be like life, right? So biodiverse would be the most diverse living things of any desert. And so in this desert, you've got 60 different kinds of mammals. Now deserts generally don't have a lot of like living things, because it's just a very difficult place to live. So there's not a ton of stuff there generally, but this one, again, there is a lot. So 60 different species of mammals, 150 kinds of birds, 20 amphibians, 100 reptiles, and 2,000 species of plants. Now my most interesting animal, I think, that lives in the Sonoran Desert is an animal called the kangaroo rat. And pretty small, but this is what I think is amazing. Are you guys ready to be amazed?
Yeah.
It can live its entire life without doing a thing. And I wonder what that thing is. Your mind will be absolutely blown, I promise you. It needs to eat.
Drink.
Actually, that is correct. It can live its entire life without drinking water. How is that possible, you might ask? Well, how do you think that might be possible? Obviously, it needs water. Huh?
He eats cactuses.
You're actually on the right track, kind of.
When it's
It,
succulents.
the kangaroo rats gets the moisture that it needs actually from the food that it eats. So a lot of what it eats are things like, nuts and stuff, which isn't real watery. And then also, so it gets from the food that it eats, and then also from like breathing in air. The deserts don't have a lot of humidity usually in the air, right? I mean, that's kind of why it's a desert. But it's got like especially adapted in its nose. It's able to, as it breathes in, it's able to pull water from the air that it breathes. So water from the food that it eats, which is pretty dry, because dry seas and things, because this is a desert. But then also from the air that it breathes, and it probably I won't tell you that because
Would it drink water if
recorded
it had
forever
water?
on YouTube. Yeah, they physically can do it, right? Like it's a possibility that they can do it. It's just they often don't have any. I mean, it's in a desert, right? So they don't have access
So if
to
I got one as a
water.
pet,
If you got one as a pet, yeah, that would be interesting, and you could feed it water. You wouldn't have to just feed it dry nuts and let it breathe. You could feed it
feed it
water.
a cactus.
Yeah, feed it cactus type things. All right, so that is, and if you guys have got the picture here on the bottom, that's kind of what we're going through here now. So what are the two northern deserts in Mexico? What you would write is this is the Sonoran Desert. So you would write that up here. And then the next desert is the Chihuahuan Desert, which is going to be in this part of Mexico. I should have also said this with the Sonoran Desert. Has anybody in here ever been to like Phoenix, Arizona, like down in there? This is the desert that Phoenix sits in. So the Sonoran Desert crosses the border between Mexico and the United States, and it covers this whole area. So if you've ever been to Phoenix or Tucson or anywhere down there, you've been in the Sonoran Desert. All right, the Chihuahuan is the other one. And this one is going to sit also in both the United States and in Mexico. And the Chihuahuan Desert is the largest desert in North America. And it covers somewhere around 200,000 square miles. Is the Chihuahua Desert. So, hottest and most biodiverse, largest. In North America, we're talking. So, hottest, most biodiverse in North America, largest in North America. 200,000 square miles. Then we've got a couple mountain ranges here, and in the eastern side, the Sierra Madre Occidental over here, and then the Sierra Madre Oriental runs over here. I, by the way, feel like you're not maybe giving me enough credit because I thought this was very clever to put the pictures of these over top of the actual map of Mexico. And Adelia, I would think you, of all people, would have given me a little bit of credit for that, which makes me kind of sad that you haven't, but that's fine. I'll get over it. This is how they run, like that, for the two ranges. And then in these mountain ranges, there is obviously, there's, in mountain ranges, you're going to have canyons. When you hear canyon and you think about kind of the big canyon that you've heard about, what would you think that was in the United States? What's the only canyon you probably know of in the United States? Yes, the Grand Canyon, right? So in Mexico, so we have the Grand Canyon. In Mexico, they have Copper Canyon. And Copper Canyon actually has quite a few similarities to like the Grand Canyon. What formed the Grand Canyon? has slowly been carving it over time.
Water.
Yeah, water. Which water in particular?
Columbia River.
The what?
Colorado River.
Yeah, the Colorado River. So Copper Canyon is the same idea. Is it was, it's kind of been carved by rivers. Here, though, it's actually 6 different rivers that have carved Copper Canyon. It's 7, so this is Copper Canyon. It is 7 times the size of the Grand Canyon. So this is way bigger, Copper Canyon is. And it is also way deeper. So at the deepest point, it's almost 1,500 feet deeper than the Grand Canyon. So the Grand Canyon stole the name Grand, but Copper Canyon's much bigger, deeper, significant canyon. So just kind of as you go here, you answer the questions like you know. Then we have the Mexican Plateau, also called the Central Plateau. And what's going on here is this plateau is bordered on both sides by mountains. Okay, so kind of what you're looking at here is something like this, where you have the Sierra Madre Occidental, Sierra Madre Oriental in the east, and then in the middle, this is the Plateau of Mexico, or the Central Plateau. So you kind of have, basically at sea level. Then you got the mountain ranges, and then the plateau. So this is still a high elevation area, but it's low mountains, plateau. And I think we've talked about this. Oftentimes people will think of plateaus like tabletops, right? Because it's something that is a plain. These things are relatively flat generally, but there's high elevation, kind of like you would think with the table. Relatively flat, but high elevation. So, anybody have things?
Yeah. What's the world's largest lake? World's largest